Okay, hello everybody. I think we can start now. If anyone joins later, we can still admit them in the room. So yeah, I think we can start now. So hello, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are connecting from. My name is Mariana Olmeda, and I'm a Diversity and Inclusion Program Chair for SPE Northern Emirates. And I would like to welcome all of you to our webinar today, a session called Women in Energy in the Middle East. We have four lovely speakers tonight, and I hope you all enjoy. So I would like to start by sharing with you only a few slides for you to have an idea what we are doing here from our Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And I would also like to introduce our speakers tonight. Just to check before I start talking too much, can you hear me okay and see me okay? And most importantly, if you can see my presentation.
Okay, Mariana.
Okay, and you can also see my slides now, right?
The slide, no.
Maybe it will, wait. No, I think I still need to share. Give me a second. Sorry, no, I was not sharing the screen, so here it goes. Let's give a few seconds. Can you see them now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I would also like to tell you that we are also live on our YouTube channel, and this presentation is being recorded for those who would like to take a look at later stage. So once again, welcome to our webinar session tonight. It's called Women in Energy in the Middle East. And I would like to start by sharing some of our activities and mission in our Diversity and Inclusion Committee here at the SPE Northern Emirates. With regards to the mission, it is to uphold and continue the legacy of the Women in Energy Committee, which was created to promote leadership, representation, and recognition for women within the Society of Petroleum Engineers. Also to provide the support and platforms and collaborative spaces where we can share and discuss ideas around diversity and inclusion, and as well to promote diversity and inclusion in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So this committee was created last year. This is for you to see the current structure. It's composed by 9 members, and our committee chair is Mrs. Deepika Kataki from RPS Energy. So I would like to share with you, we are very busy organizing activities and fun things for us to do and to gather. I will share with you only some in case you are interested. In September 17th and every Friday, we have the SPE Beach Run. If you like sports and if you are an early bird, this activity is for you, a very fun one. Next week, we have an important one. September 21st to 23rd is the annual technical conference and exhibition that will be in the World Trade Center. And during those days, on the 22nd, we will have the golf tournament and social night at the track Maidan. In October, we have 2 special events organized by our Diversity and Inclusion Committee. On the 12th, we will have the Breast Cancer Awareness Talk, and on the 26th, we will have the Mental Wellbeing Day. And on November 12th, we will have the first SPE Gaia technical talk, which is about sustainability in energy provision. So these are just some of the events. There is a lot going on this month. So if you're interested, I suggest you follow and stay tuned to our LinkedIn page. SPE Northern Emirates section, because we update there all the activities. And now I would like to, it takes a bit to respond when I pass from one slide to the other. Let me see. Yes, here. I hope I don't pass two slides together now. No. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers tonight. We will have Arwa Ahmed Maudot. She has a master's degree in chemical engineering, and she's a subject matter expert in fluid characterization working for ADNOC. Among her career achievements, Arwa invented a novel solution for challenges related to PVT using artificial intelligence. And she led the team that won a very important award, the Award of Digital Transformation Project of the Year, and she received this recognition during the ADIPEC 2020. We will have Lian Butcher. Lian has a very extensive career with several transitions in and out of the oil and gas industry. She participated in a wide variety of projects in the Middle East, including humanitarian relief efforts. She is trustee for the Friends of Basra Museum, an amazing project she will tell us about. And she's currently a social consultant and CSR specialist working for RPS Energy. We will have Rusul Al-Bahrani. Rusul is a young petroleum engineer, full of energy and enthusiasm. At her young age, she has already been exposed to a number of different roles in the oil and gas industry, ranging from marketing to technical and working on rig sites. And she is also a professional certified trainer. And Rusul is doing a fantastic work for the SPE Basra section, encouraging women and young generations to join and grow into the oil industry. And we will have Ellen Pope. Ellen has a degree in clinical psychology and comparative cultures, as well as different certifications. She arrived for the first time in the Middle East 15 years ago, specifically in Iraq, as part of the US Army. And after a 15-month mission, she joined the private sector in Baghdad. She has since then supported a number of oil and gas projects as a subject matter expert in security and intelligence analysis. And she has been the director of Talos since 2014. So I would like to say it's a privilege to have these ladies with us tonight. And I would really like to say thank you for your interest in participating and for speaking for us tonight. And now some simple rules for all of us. One is please keep your microphones muted during the session. At the end of the sessions, we will have a common question and answer session. So please feel free to share your questions using the chat box. Can be either privately or sharing with the audience. I will be collecting these questions and I will read them at the end of the talks. And that's it for me. Enjoy the session and thank you all for being here with us. So we will now start with Lian.
Thank you, Mariana.
I will stop sharing. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to, bear with me. Now I'm going to try and share my screen. Please let me know when you can see that.
I can see it.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for inviting me to join what promises to be an inspirational panel. It's a pleasure to work with you all on this event and appreciate the time of the audience to listen to our thoughts around diversity and inclusion. Oh, is it going to go on to the next slide for me? Not at the moment. It's not moved on for you, has it? The slide? No.
No, but if it's not working, I can share from here, no problem.
Sorry. I'll
let me
stop
know.
sharing.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, please.
I can't imagine that any of us have not had that problem sometime in the last year.
Who knows, a few more of us might yet tonight, mightn't we? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so, lovely. Thank you, Mariana. Okay, so, oh, it's just, there we go. Perfect. Everyone okay? Everyone see that? I can see it. That's perfect. Okay, may we go to the next slide, please, Mariana? Thank you. Okay, so from my career and life journey, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the bullet points that come with my key sort of theme of thoughts that I wanted to share with you tonight, and that's around career transition. So you can see in 2006, up until then, I was working in the fashion industry, which might sound lovely and glamorous, but I was actually completely bored. I worked for Swarovski Crystal, who quite a few of you might know, like when I used to live in Dubai, there were lots of women with beautiful abayas adorned with Swarovski crystals. And I worked in their fashion components department. So we sold the Swarovski crystals to companies, to designers, and then they embellished their own garments with the crystals. So sounds lovely, but really quite unfulfilling for me personally. So I happened to be fortunate enough to go on a real adventure holiday. So my partner and I, we traveled out to Sabah and Sarawak, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner on the map in this picture on the screen there, and that's just up the coast from Brunei, as many of you probably know. Anyway, so it was a real adventure holiday, fabulous landscapes there, really amazing, interesting wildlife, caves full of bats. It was just really interesting. Had a great time, the locals were lovely, and about to board this little tiny aeroplane on the tarmac to fly out of there, and all of these people came past me with t-shirts that were branded with Shell and BP, and I thought, wow, what an interesting industry to work in, that you get to come to places like this. And I thought, oh, maybe that's an industry I'd like to work in. So I got home from that trip. I read lots of books about the oil and gas industry, about the geopolitics, about the pet chem side of the business, how many different products that we use day in, day out, the fact that actually you'd be hard pushed to go a day without using a petroleum-based product in your life. And I thought, yeah, that's the industry I'd like to work in. So I set about using my business development and marketing skills, which, as you can see, is my background on there. And I transitioned, that was my first big career transition, deliberately into the oil and gas industry. So if we then fast forward to 2013, I moved to Kurdistan with a company called RPS, which is also the same RPS that Deepika Katake works for, who Mariana mentioned earlier. So anyway, I'm in Kurdistan, I'm running our branch office out there, and two things came together at the same time, as often happens in life. So the first thing was we had the uprising of the Islamic State and the humanitarian crisis that brought into the Kurdistan region of Iraq and its relative safety. And the second thing that was on my mind at that time is that increasingly, when I was meeting our oil and gas clients in Kurdistan, I was seeing some companies doing corporate social responsibility really well in country, and other companies didn't have anyone even doing CSR. And then there was companies in between those two extremes. And I thought, well, what an interesting area of the oil and gas industry to work in. You know, you've got the significant budgets of the oil and gas industry, you know, far exceeding some small charities budgets and the work they're trying to do on such a relatively small amount of money. So you've got big budgets, you've got lots of people with expertise and experience in real problem solving that you could bring to meeting some of these challenges facing Kurdistan and the internally displaced and refugee populations at that time. So I wanted to be part of this big companies finding solutions to community problems, and indeed big companies being part of the solution and not part of leaving a problem for communities. That was where my heart started to go, but I didn't have any experience in that area. So this takes me nicely onto my next slide, please, Mariana. Thank you. So all of us know people, I'm sure, I certainly have done and still do, people that are very unhappy in their jobs, in their careers. They end up just working to live. They've got no fulfillment from the roles they're doing, but they're stuck in some kind of rut. They perceive the switching costs of leaving that career as too high. They've embedded and invested too much in that career, and they don't really see a way out of it. But I think voluntary roles, voluntary work offers a wonderful opportunity that's a win-win situation for both you and whichever organisation or group of people you donate your time to, or whatever problem you devote your time to. So some of the benefits are obviously clear to see, but in my case, wanting to work in CSR, I started to work for a small local charity that was run by one of my friends in Kurdistan. And we were providing humanitarian relief. So that was transferable skills to the social part of corporate social responsibility. It gave me experience doing community engagement, needs assessments out in the field. I was able to go and speak to the women and vulnerable groups of children, for instance, that male colleagues in the charity just didn't have access to because it was culturally insensitive for them to go and speak to those groups. So I was able to help in that way. And then I was like designing and delivering programs to meet the needs that we identified. All of those were very useful to a CSR role. For me, for my benefit in the future. And then obviously it's not completely one-sided. The charity gained my expertise in marketing generally, but fundraising specifically. We were able to raise a lot of money from the local oil and gas companies once we put some fundraising campaigns together. Efficient budget and project management I helped them with, and project reviews were a few areas. So at that time, for me personally, I used those skills, and then ultimately I fully transitioned from the oil and gas industry. I left my role with RPS and I worked full-time for a slightly different charity, but the two had done projects together. That's how I met them. So I was able to transition full-time from RPS over to a small charity, which didn't pay very well. So to subsidize that role, and that's fine, I didn't want to take much money from the charity at all, but to subsidize that role, I also took on a CSR manager role for a small local security company. So my message here is simple, really, that your job now doesn't define your future. You get to define your future, even if the path to get to it doesn't seem clear. Usually there's a way that voluntary roles can help you get there. And as I say, it's a win-win. The society benefits too. Next slide, please, Mariana. So the Basra Museum is another example of a voluntary project which I've gained a massive amount from being a part of. One of the things I love about our industry is the diverse people we meet and work with. It's a real cross-section of society. I think most people can agree that have experienced the oil industry. My business development work in Iraq, the networking I did led me to meet many different people, but that included a British archaeologist and an Iraqi former diplomat. So they were forming a new charity, and they asked me to be a part of that, which I was obviously honoured by. So the new charity was to create a new museum for Basra, a region of such archaeological and cultural heritage importance had lost its museum as a byproduct of the war. Not, it wasn't directly bombed or anything like that, but the security vacuum had created an opportunity for the museum to be looted, sadly. So some of the artifacts were lost, as many of you know, and also the building went to rack and ruin, like it was ravaged by woodworm, for example. So it was just untenable, the former museum building. So anyway, we created the UK charity, the Friends of Basra Museum, in 2010 with a very specific remit to raise funds and to provide guidance. For example, the colleague of mine in the Board of Trustees, who was an archaeologist, also had a very important role with the British Museum. So he was able to give real stewardship to the Iraqi team as they were setting up this new museum in Basra. So it was a diverse Board of Trustees were assembled, 10 trustees since 2010 in total, 5 female, 5 male, 2 Iraqis, 6 British who'd lived and worked in Iraq in various roles, from diplomats to military to oil and gas industry. But we had one thing in common across the board, and that's our unity of purpose and a passion to see the project through, which was of paramount importance because from 2010, it took until 2016 to open the first gallery to the public. And I'm sure you can imagine the reasons for that. We had many significant obstacles to overcome, like a global financial crisis, which obviously made fundraising difficult. We had the security vacuum and the ISIS uprising down in the south of the country, political upheaval, attempted corruption as we were allocating the budget for the project. Even transferring money from the UK to Iraq is just a nightmare because of anti-money laundering and anti-corruption regulations on the bank. So against all of those odds, the first gallery was opened in 2016, and then a further 3 galleries were opened in 2019, a library and an education room. So that's quite an achievement, even though it took a very long time to get there. With the staff of the museum, they are civil servants employed directly by the State Board of Antiquities and Heritage. So we have absolutely no control over that, no say in it. However, what we have tried to do is positively influence this angle of diversity and inclusion. And at the moment, they have 16 staff, 2 of which are female. And then on from that, they have a significant volunteer program that's really impressive, the first of its kind to support a museum in Iraq. I think others have followed, but this was the first of its kind. And that is a 50-50 makeup pretty much of women and men supporting the museum completely on a voluntary basis, giving up their own time. And based on that, if nothing else, I think the future looks bright for the Basra Museum, that there's so many people dedicating their time to support it. And the Friends of Basra Museum have funded several training workshops, which are fully inclusive. They include staff and volunteers, males and females. So it's been a really positive project, and I hope the legacy of the project will live on for a long time, and the education room in particular will help secure the future of the Basra Museum. Next slide, please, Mariana. There we go. Okay, so the lessons I've learned: seize the opportunity, as I said on my first slide. When I was first invited to join the Board of Trustees for the Basra Museum, I actually offered the role to one of my colleagues who I thought was better suited to the role of treasurer, to be honest, then, given my skill set at that time. But she turned it down because she saw it as a chore, a bit of a challenge, another thing to have to do. She was already busy and overloaded, all very valid reasons, but she just saw it as a chore. And actually, I thought this is a significant opportunity here. What a fabulous project to be involved with, really interesting people. So it's about a frame of mind and how you see things when they come your way. Be true to yourself. There's a really lovely book written by a nurse who provides palliative care. So looks after people in their last days before they pass away, sadly. And she's obviously spent a lot of time speaking to these people. And she found that there were some common regrets people had in the last days of their lives. And the number one common regret, and I quote, was, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." So just bear that in mind. You know, if you're not happy in your role for whatever reason, maybe you used to be and you're not anymore, maybe consider how you can go about changing that, or changing anything that isn't making you happy. Balance and well-being, I think this message has been hammered home a lot over recent years, but certainly when I was in Kurdistan, my life was very out of balance. I lived in an all-male house. There was a very blurred line between work and social time. We didn't eat very healthy food. There was a chef, and it just wasn't a healthy lifestyle. So I started doing yoga almost by accident, and I tried it before and it didn't really resonate with me. All of a sudden I tried it again when I was in Kurdistan, when I perhaps needed that balance most, and it resonated for me. So now I teach yoga in my spare time because I find that helps me. Take stock. If you've achieved something, take a little while to just recognize what you've achieved, because we're always so busy chasing the next thing that by the time you've achieved that thing, you're probably already focused on the next thing. So we don't actually realize our accomplishments. And then finally, I'd say coach yourself. We all are very supportive of our friends and our colleagues if they come to us and have something they're worried about, something they have or haven't done. And if we're talking to a friend, we tend to be very supportive, but yet if it's ourselves, our internal chatter can be quite negative. So try and take a step back and think, if this was a friend that was telling me this, how would I make them feel better? And then try and give yourself that chat. Next slide, please, Mariana, which is also my final slide, because I must be nearly up on time now. So diversity and inclusion, we're in this together. I'm just going to leave you with an anecdote. One of my colleagues, who's much older than any of us, a guy who at RPS has been running our seismic acquisition vessels, the staffing of those, for many, many years. And he told me that back in the early 1980s, when women were first being put onto the seismic vessels, he didn't have, that he can recall, any pushback, any single complaint from any of the men on the seismic vessels about women coming onto the ships. The complaints he got, and it was more than one, like over a handful of complaints, were from women. The wives and the girlfriends, so the wags as people like to call them, the wives and the girlfriends of the men on the boats that were questioning why women needed to be put on those boats. It was unfair. These women might be there trying to steal their husbands, their boyfriends. And, you know, how insulting is that to the professionalism of these women on the boats, that to assume that they're there to try and steal someone else's husband rather than to actually do a professional job, which is what they've been training for and working towards their whole life. And sadly, this isn't an isolated story. Apparently, it was exactly the same in the British Navy when they started to put females on the Navy vessels out at sea for long periods of time. Exactly the same pushback was encountered from the wives and girlfriends. So I've had some men that have been incredibly supportive of my career over the years, and equally I've had some women that have been blocks, let's say. So I try not to look at people as men and women. I try and base them based on the behaviour I see them presenting. That's how I feel about inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Wow, this was super inspirational, and yeah, these stories are so rich. So thank you so much for sharing all these experiences with us. Now we will go, I will stop sharing from here and we will go with Rusul. You will share from your side, right?
Yes, Mariana, now I'm sharing. So it's clear?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I will mute my...
Alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much. For that, I'm here today to share with you my ideas about volunteering. This is Rusul Al-Bahrani, petroleum engineer, professional certified trainer, program chairperson with SBE Basra section. I will take you into a ray of hope journey. In this presentation, we will cover Head of Program for Employability, Women in Energy, SBE Basra section. And also my work journey, my recommendation, last but not least, diversity and inclusion mean from my point of view. Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. This quote for Martin Luther King, which I really believe in it, and I really influenced by it. For that reason, I joined two voluntary programs. The first program is Head of Program for Employability. This program is a training and mentoring program. We designed it to train fresh graduates in about crucial soft skills. This program sponsored by SBE Basra section for 2 months with 40 participators. The idea of a program, why we designed it, because me and a group of wonderful trainers, we observed the job market required soft skills more than education. And we discussed, and we take like a result about our discussion to create a high quality program. Okay, to create a high quality program, with the with SBE Basra section. Okay, sorry, just let me share the whole presentation. And as I said before, this program designed for fresh graduates, and we trained them about how to create CV, cover letter, communication skills, presentation skills, how to speak in public, how to understand themselves, how to setting goals, making decisions, and also how to pass job interview, time management, all of them. And now share a picture to the closing ceremony of this
Hello, I'm not sure if the audience can hear me.
We can hear you, Mariana. I think it's just Russell that's frozen, maybe.
Yeah, sounds like a connectivity problem on her side. Let's see if we can get her back. Just a second, please. This can happen, as you know. She's still connected. She's still, no, I think now she got offline, so maybe she will reconnect now. Let's just see if we can get her back shortly.
You're doing a great job, Mariana. We can all hear you.
Thank you, Mer. We have a small connectivity problem just now, so let me see if we can get poor Rusul in the middle of our presentation. I imagine she doesn't feel great about it. Let's see if we can get her back. Ah, yeah, she's here. Hello, Rusul. We are happy to have you back. We were worried that we were going to lose you.
Can you make me as a co-host?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will give you co-host. Yeah, so you can share again. So you froze. I will let you know where, so you can pick it up from there. Now you're a co-host. You can share again your presentation, please.
I was there in head of program. Yeah, I said I'm so proud because I was a trainer in the head of program, and in the end, we did a great job. We participate and develop some fresh graduates, and some of them currently are working in international companies, and they are successful. And I'm so happy to them and so proud of them actually. And this picture from our closing ceremony, and till now we are connecting with each other. Okay, and we did like we are a family now, and we are like a friends. We still mentoring them. So, and the second, my second experience with voluntary work is Women in Energy with SBE Basra section. Women in Energy is a subcommittee from SBE Basra section. It's managed by volunteers, by very interesting volunteers. They did a lot of efforts to make our work like successful. We have objective to help Iraqi women to be effective in their job. Our goal is to encourage, to mentor women, and to be like a platform for all successful women to share their successful stories and to enhance women leadership skills. Actually, we did a lot of initiatives, and the last initiatives, it's called it's called what shall I do after graduate, and we invite men and gentlemen, men and women, sorry, both of them. And I'm also so proud to participate with them. And I would like to thank them, thank our president and my colleague in this subcommittee. And I hope in the future we will do a lot of efforts, and we will do a lot of activities. And now I will share my work journey. I started from marketing assistant with international company. Actually, it was a data work and document work, and I have a goal to work in the RIC side, to know a lot of about technical information. So what I did, my job is like my work ended at 5 p.m. I didn't return to my home actually. I registered in English training center to advance my English. And also, I did a lot of effort to find another opportunity and to contact my friends, to searching on LinkedIn. So I got the opportunity finally, and I got interview for field specialist as artificial lift. Actually, it was challenging, and it was also great opportunity to me. And currently, I'm working on government work. Let me introduce, like, talk a little bit about my work. This picture from my first work as marketing assistant. This work learned me how to love what I work. You have to love what you work, because when you love it, you will improve yourself. And second, this is, I will share with you my video when I did sublicing. Uh, I was the only lady at the rig site at night. And also, I was the only lady on the camp, stay on the camp, only lady. And when I succeed, after 1 month, they hired another lady with me. And this picture from my current work. Actually, when I get opportunity in government company, a lot of people said to me, working in government company, it's like routine work. You will not improve yourself. You will not, there is no development. But actually, I did a little bit of breakout. After 1 year working with government work, I take a good position as technical unit lead. I suggest new ideas to my company, and I still improve my work, and also my colleagues. They used to learn new technologies and new ideas from my side. So, in the result, I will say to you, even if you work in work office or rig site or your own business, you have to love it. You have to improve yourself as much as you can. My recommendation for you, understand yourself from the beginning after you graduate, what you want to be. You want to be in the rig site, in the office, or in your own business. Before you sleep every day, don't dream. It's not about dreaming. You have to write your plan, and in the morning you have to get up and work on your plan. Be the driver of your life, because just dreaming, there is no results will be. Actually, improve yourself. You have to think in positive way. You have to improve yourself in soft skills. Soft skills, it's vital currently. And improve your English as much as you can, because we have a lot of online courses to improve your English. Read books to develop yourself. Participate in voluntary work, because when you give without benefits, you will be so happy. And in one day, someone you will not know you, he will help you. So everything you did in good way, it will return to you. Actually, learn from each mistake. Don't give up. Be strong, because life has a lot of difficulties. We have to enjoy with these difficulties. Keep trying, and don't wait the opportunity. Build it. Let excellence be your brand, and don't sleep without knowing anything new. You have to read for 15 minutes only per day. You have to improve yourself. Last but not the least, diversity and inclusion, from my point of view. We need actually expand women work in oil and gas industry, because as I work as a field specialist and I did more than 15 installation and pull-out jobs. I did 30 troubleshooting jobs, so no problem with women to work in the rig site or in the office in oil industry. So we have to give women opportunity to lead. In other hand, for inclusion, we have to focus on gender equality. As we are in Women in Energy Basra, we invited both women and men in our session to focus on gender equality. In the end, I would like to thank SBE Northern Emirates for this invitation, and special thanks for Mariana. And I would like finally to thank everyone. He helped me and encouraged me in this session today. And thanks Hadaf family because they are exciting here. Thank SBE family because they are exciting here. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Rusul, for sharing your story with us. You are an inspiring young lady and definitely leading the way for people in your area and people from your generation. And I'm actually seeing nice messages on the chat box congratulating you about all your achievements. So thank you very much. So now we will go with Ellen. I will share for you as we agreed. Okay, let me.
And there's a couple of people in the waiting room.
Yes, I can see that. I will first allow people into the meeting. Just give me a second.
No worries.
I'm multitasking a bit. I will share the presentation now. Okay, here it is. And now I just need to share with everybody Ellen's presentation. So share screen. There we go. Now, so you let me know if you can see it.
Okay. So it's a pleasure and
sorry for this. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was trying to unmute myself. Okay.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be speaking today, and especially in the company of such accomplished professional women as well. I am probably the more unusual speaker on this panel in terms of my background, but I do hope that over the course of the next few minutes that you will see why the topic of diversity and inclusion can, particularly for women, facilitate not only discussion and cooperation across the energy sector, but also in helping to bridge the gaps between fields which support and work alongside the energy operations throughout the world. To begin, I'd like to tell you a bit about myself, excuse me, and my background. So if you could go to the next slide, please. I have a dynamic educational background, in part due to my own journey of finding out what I wanted to do in life. And unlike Rasul, I had very little idea of what I wanted to do, at least initially, and probably still today as well. But I'm privileged to have had a support environment and a family that I was told I could do anything I set my mind to. And I did, in fact, frequently change my mind regarding potential career paths as well. My mother, for example, became a doctor at a time that not many women were doctors, and she faced a lot of the challenges that I have seen in my own career, and that I'm sure many of the women listening today can also relate to. My formal education includes a bachelor's degree with a focus in clinical psychology and comparative cultures, as well as an associate's degree in intelligence collection. While those are all very different educational streams, they all fed into my desire to make a positive difference, keeping people safe and our environment safe as well, and a fascination with how people think, as well as interest in how we can connect with those who are very different than ourselves. After college, I spent several years as a deputy sheriff in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I worked as a member of the special response team there, which is essentially sort of the riot team that responds in an emergency and things like that. I joined the US military in 2004, largely because I wanted more advanced training. I went to the Defense Language Institute for a year. I failed miserably in an effort to learn Korean and did somewhat better in learning Thai, but I had to leave that training early for airborne school and finally intelligence collection training. I deployed to Iraq as a member of the 82nd Airborne in 2006 for 15 months in Samarra and Tikrit during the surge. After getting out of the military, I quickly returned to Baghdad in 2008, and I worked with reconstruction operations as an intelligence analyst there. I then worked in support of the Italian Provincial Reconstruction Team, in Dakar, as a security analyst until that project ended. I was then introduced to the oil and gas industry in 2011 as an analyst in Basra, and I worked on the oil fields for a number of years as well. I worked directly with Eni and Weatherford in Basra, and then worked as a consultant providing reporting and setting up information systems for various organizations that were predominantly supporting the oil and gas sector. In 2014, with the arrival of Islamic State, I came up to the Kurdistan region and I launched Talos and then took the company over the following year. I focused our company and operations on being independent, objective, and precise in both collections of information as well as analytical methodologies, while learning the hard way that many of the lessons essential for intelligence analysis are very, very different from running a successful business. So can you go to the next slide, please? So how do I bring that kind of a background to this subject of diversity and inclusion? This theme brings both very positive and admittedly some very painful memories of what it's like to work in an industry where women, ethnic diversity, and inclusion are historically far from being welcome. I think this is true for both security and the energy sectors, but I do think that things are slowly changing for the better, and that a lot of that is due to our successes in these industries, as well as legal challenges that have been brought internationally, global warming and the necessity to adapt for global survival, and hopefully a growing leadership effort to recognize that diversity and innovation must enter these markets simultaneously, or the markets themselves will be overcome by changing worldviews and newer industries. Now we're primarily speaking in terms of women in these industries today, but I do also want to quickly highlight that diversity includes ethnic and religious diversity as well. A good example is a conversation I had the other day in which a colleague and I discussed the flawed use of distinctions like local national, expat, and third country national. In oil and gas, we have probably all heard these phrases, but we need to recognize that what's essentially being said in phrases like this, and in this case in particular, what we're doing is defining someone as a local, a white expat, or a brown expat, and this should never be acceptable to us. In security, this kind of distinction takes on a whole new level of consequence and can cost lives because different levels of security are historically assigned to these groups, often without fully understanding what and why that is the case. We must identify these kinds of casual discriminations before we can have any hope to actually change them. And that same kind of casual discrimination is also applied to women in these industries as well. In analysis and intelligence, a combination of politically, culturally, and ethnically diverse personnel is an essential asset, and it is that diversity that allows us to see all sides and understand motivations for events that would otherwise be unclear from only one perspective. As ethnically diverse women, we can bring new faces, ideas, and voices to the crowd, speaking for equality and inclusion, but we still have to overcome a lot of challenges, and we are often expected to do this making fewer mistakes, voicing fewer complaints, and in many cases, we must succeed with far less support than many of our male counterparts. But our challenges can be an opportunity for learning, as well as an opportunity for teaching others and bringing innovation to industries that must change in order to survive. In overcoming these challenges, we can help bring some change in the thinking of the existing establishment and to those that we have worked with as well. Now, you can tell, or excuse me, you can't tell because this is a Zoom meeting, but I'm 5 feet tall. So I'm not a big person. And no matter how much I go to the gym, I will never be taller than that. I am not the big security guy that most people think they should listen to when significant events happen and lives are on the line. And because of this, I faced a lot of difficulties when I joined the industry, and that has historically focused on physical strength as the primary asset. I was physically challenged many times in my career. I would go home covered in bruises after various training exercises because some of my male counterparts wanted to encourage me to quit. I was sometimes sabotaged and set up to fail, and sometimes this was by other women as well. But I kept going back, and in many cases, sheer stubbornness led to acceptance from those very people. And they recognized that I did ultimately deserve to be where I was. People can change their views, and we need to give them the opportunity to do so. In the Army, I was one of 3 women to graduate from my airborne class after some of our trainers made things particularly difficult because they didn't want women in airborne. In fact, I was given the top rank in the class precisely because of what I'd had to put up with over the course of the training. I had to pass extra physical training tests that were not required for male soldiers in my job in order to prove that I could keep up, even though I tested in the top 10% under the male physical training testing standards. Even then, I was initially told I still could not deploy with my collections team when we first came to Iraq because I would be with the infantry, and the command of an infantry unit was not used to women and was worried about my safety amongst male soldiers. When I did pass various tests and win the arguments, there were still daily challenges. We had 6 women and 700 men at my location in Samara. So I spent a lot of time convincing others and proving to myself that I deserved to be there and that I could actually prove an asset. But throughout my career, and in some cases, even my appearance, as well as an ability to react differently under stress, also meant that I could approach conflict resolution, engage with the community, and deal with security events in a way that others couldn't. When we lost friends, my male colleagues would speak to me about fears and concerns they couldn't speak to each other about. And I learned more about them, in that process. In military on deployment, I could speak to the women of Samara in a community and an environment where men were prohibited. And because of that, I found a whole world of information and networks that an all-male unit would never have had access to. I could speak to some religious and tribal leaders because I was not viewed in the same way that a male US soldier or even just a woman would have been seen. I was outside of many definable roles and could therefore make my own path. Before we returned from deployment, it was actually the infantry command who promoted me when some of my intelligence units still tried to stop my promotion. Later, when I worked in the commercial world, I was not treated like my male colleagues, and old-fashioned comments about where women fit into the workplace were part of a regular day. On the oil field, I think one of the hardest parts was dealing with gossip and attempts to undermine my professionalism by disparaging my character, belittling, or taking credit for my work. And the gossip, more than the job, made things particularly difficult. For a long time, I even ate alone in my room to avoid gossip, and I spoke with as few people as possible. But I realized that this only separated me even more from those people that I needed to understand and work with. I tried to maintain my integrity and reminded myself that those who burn bridges often find themselves stranded on an island. Over the years, some of those I worked for have asked me for employment. And it's interesting to me how dynamics like this can shift over the years. Even when I found myself in leadership roles, I was still periodically faced with discrimination. I was told to make the tea before briefings I was leading. I was told by a trusted colleague and friend that he would not consider me for a job because he didn't think that a woman that as a woman, other people, not him, wouldn't listen to me. I've been told, oh, that's cute, when a fellow manager found out that I run the company. And perhaps most humiliating and infuriating on numerous occasions, it has been suggested or even outright stated in public that I had inappropriate relations with clients, bosses, or business colleagues in order to succeed. Only 2 years ago, I was told that I should take notes for a meeting that I was in charge of because the secretary wasn't there and I was the woman who was present. We all feel these kinds of experiences deeply, and there is no way to walk away without scars, but we can also be stronger for it in the end. And as Leanne mentioned, maintaining our mental health is a key part of our survival. Next slide, please. So what lessons, oops, one back, there we go. So what lessons have I learned from these experiences? One of the key lessons is that standing out in a crowd means that people remember you and what you say. I found that being female made me different and therefore memorable, which can be both good and bad. I try to be careful that my words are my own, and I try to be honest and fair with others whenever possible and listen to what they have to say as well. When we stand out, we must ensure that our words do not perpetuate other stereotypes or marginalize other groups in an effort to fit in. And when we stick up for others, we ensure our own success in the long run. I try to surround myself with people who can do the jobs that I cannot do, and then I let them do what they do best. And this makes all of us stronger and not weaker in the long run. We also must remember to be patient and know that many discriminatory acts are a result of ignorance and not malice. Interestingly, the male colleagues who did treat me as an equal are generally those who have risen through the ranks to become more than just security guys themselves, largely because they could think outside of the traditional box and find value in those who were not the same as themselves. In terms of the oil and gas industry, I've met very few women over the years, particularly on the camps working in the oil fields, but I am meeting more and more every year. And I am thrilled to see that those who are coming into the industry are doing many of the jobs that require both a superior intellect and an interest in getting their hands dirty. Seeing women as managers and working alongside them will change the conventional perception of what women can and should do in traditionally male roles, even if it takes some time. When I have met women in oil and gas, as well as in security, there are, with very few exceptions, exceptional in their fields, precisely because they have to overcome so many challenges to get where they are. And women are amazing at networking as well. Women's networks have introduced me to some of the most dynamic women and managers that I've ever known, including a female head of an international oil and gas company, a head of a legal department at an oil and gas company, environmentalists, activists, women who are leading the charge in providing support and assistance to those ravaged by Islamic State, and even some members of this panel. We need to encourage other women to succeed and become a success as well. So many of the people that I work with and have met in my 17 years in Iraq are no longer just colleagues. They are my friends, they are confidants, and they are allies. And it is precisely their diversity and unique skills that they bring to the table which makes them powerful leaders of any industry. And I look forward to meeting many more of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen, for sharing your very, 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 very special story. Definitely a story of perseverance and success. You're a brave woman, so thank you very much. And now we will leave the floor to Arwa to present. I will stop sharing from my side. Yes. Yes. All yours, Arwa. I will mute myself.
Yes, Mariana, do you see my slide? Hi, Mariana,
Yes,
do you hear me?
Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
We can see
you
your
see my
slides very well. Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, hi, everyone. My name is Arwa Ahmed Maulud. I'm a subject matter expert in fluid in ADNOC. I have spoken in two separate webinars. So those who attended these webinars might have listened to some of these stories, but I would like to share it because I think it's something that really can inspire especially the new generation, that we can always succeed, we can always achieve great things. But it's just that we have to be sometimes more patient. So before I start talking about this, I will start with the greatest achievement that happened in my career during ADIPEC 2020. This is when like me and my team has awarded the Digital Transformation Project of the Year, and this is international award. So let me share with you these beautiful moments when they announced the winner. And let's talk about how did we get there, and was the journey easy to get to this stage or not?
Joining us on stage are representatives from Spark Cognition, Saudi Aramco, and ADNOC Group. And the winner of the Digital Transformation Project of the Year is ADNOC Group. Congratulations, Mrs. Mawlud. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are honored and humbled to receive this international recognition among all these distinguished lineup projects. And during this prevailing scenario of the pandemic, we, on behalf of IISM team, I would like to thank ADNOC Technology, ADNOC Onshore, ADNOC Upstream, and Schlumberger for supporting to achieve this outstanding success. Since Dr. Sultan Al Jaber has announced the era of oil and gas 4.0, ADNOC has spared no efforts to align all the resources to make this digital transformation journey a reality. And today, here, ISM team is standing here, and all people who worked in the background proudly stand to celebrate this achievement, this magnificent achievement together. Today, we are bringing the future to ADNOC. Thank you so much.
So actually, it's amazing moments that, every time I look at these moments, I remember the whole journey, not only the success or the moment when we have achieved the success. No, I remember the whole journey. And this whole journey was very difficult journey to get into this stage. So when I remember all the pain, all the suffer, I feel very proud that we could overcome all these challenges. And at the end, we got rewarded. So just let's go back in the history and review how did I start my career, how it was, and let's see whether the way to reach this success should be easy or we can expect lots of challenges in our way and how we can overcome all that. Okay, so just a minute. I think I will put this down here. Okay, so let's start about, before even I entered the college, actually, I was dreaming to be a doctor, but unfortunately, I couldn't get into this. Not unfortunately, maybe fortunately, actually. I was hoping my whole life to be a doctor, and my family couldn't convince me that maybe this is not the right career for you. I was very stubborn. And I was very smart in the school, so I thought like, yes, this is the best thing to be a doctor, because just doctors are the smart people. So this was in my mind when I was studying. And you know what happened is that sometimes things happens to you that is outside your control. But I think it's Allah's plan that prevents you from doing something that maybe you want to do, but maybe because it's not your in favor. So Allah will stop you to do it because He wants to open for you another door that is much better. So in the first day of doing the exams, I actually, by my own, left a question that has 20 marks, and I thought that it's just that optional. I don't know how this happened, but it happened. And I lost the 20 marks in the first day of final exams of grade 12. And this was a biggest shock. And it was just the first day in the topic which I'm the best in class, which is Arabic. So I was very, very disappointed, and barely I could finish all my exams. And I didn't get what I want as an average. I was expected to be one of the first in the whole country. Like I was studying at that time in Iraq. I just completed my graduation from grade 12 and my college in Iraq, but my whole study was completed in Kuwait. So yeah, I didn't get my average, so I was forced not to go into this medical school. So the option was after that to go to engineering school. So in the engineering school, I thought like, okay, I don't like this, but you know, I'm used to be successful. I'm used to be the best in the class, and I wouldn't accept to be less than that. So I did really my best. I worked very hard, and I was a graduated top 1% in my class in chemical engineering department. It was also a very difficult journey, but I was actually, you know, always doing plan in order to succeed, in order to excel in my studies. And I was continuously sharing knowledge with my colleagues. And maybe this is one of the most important tips that I learned, that always when you really want to know more about the subject, just talk about it, share, teach, share the knowledge with others. This will help you to understand it in more depth. Then after I graduated in top 1% in my studies, I couldn't work in the field that is related to my study, which is engineering. I came to UAE after graduation and I couldn't find a job in engineering. So I was forced again to change my career path, and I want to be a teacher in a secondary school. I spent 4 years doing something that maybe I didn't want to do, but you know, I was there. I'm a teacher already. Khalas, let me just enjoy my job there. Let me just learn something new. And I learned lots of things while teaching. I learned to be patient. I learned to always adapt to different kinds of or different natures of students surrounding me. They're all different, and I have to reach their hearts, all of them. So this also something that I learned, how to pass the message, and to how to get close from others, so that how to establish this good relationship, so that you can achieve your objective. And my objective, that I was successful, I want all my students to be successful. And I remember one of the stories that I will never forget during teaching, that there was one student that was not interested at all in the subject that I was teaching, which is chemistry. She was sleeping all the time on her desk. So I put this challenge that I need to change the student. So slowly, this student actually was very interacted, like slowly, gradually, she was starting interacting with me. And I used that into her advantage. I tried to engage her. I tried to let her like the subject. So she changed completely. And I didn't realize that she changed till I was correcting one of the exams, one of the papers. And I used to hide the name so that I don't get biased for students that, are close to my heart. So I used to hide the names when I was correcting the papers. And I saw one student getting very good mark. And at the end, I just wanted to know who is she. And I was surprised that she was the student who was not interested at all and was sleeping all the time. This is the student who changed completely after I put some much more effort with her in order to change her. And at that time, I couldn't, I remember that I was crying that, I did this change. Oh my God, it's amazing success. So I went to the class and I told everyone, see, today I feel that one student gave me certificate on that I'm really great teacher. So she said, Miss, who is this student? So I told, no, I will not tell you today. Just keep thinking who the student can be. And nobody thought that I'm talking about this student. Even herself didn't recognize that. And the next day when I came, I told this student is this girl. So actually, she was very surprised to hear her name. I was actually, I was happy like never before, because, I didn't feel that this is possible, but it was possible. So sometimes you feel it's very difficult to change things. You feel that this is hopeless case, but there is nothing called hopeless case. So this is the best story I remember from my career while teaching. And this was one of my great successes, that I was very close to my students. My students were very, very good in chemistry, because they wanted actually to please me all the time. So I achieved my objective by establishing this good relationship with my students. So they all excel in chemistry. Then after that, finally, I get into slowly my field. I worked in two companies, Schlumberger and Halliburton. And, still I thought that, okay, I had enough from service companies. It was very difficult while working in service companies. The workload is very tough. And I felt that there is almost no personal life. And, keeping balance in life is very important, because if you don't have a family life, if you don't have other aspects of the life, you will feel frustrated and stressed after some time, and this is not healthy lifestyle at all. So I thought, okay, what is my dream job? Okay, now I learned a lot from service companies. Now I want to implement this learning in an operating company. And this when I got into my dream job, which is going into ADNOC. And I will talk about that in the next slides. So what I wanted to pass, the message I wanted to pass here is that the gradual changes in life can frustrate us, because you think that still I didn't reach to where I want to be. This could be frustrating. But by reviewing our progress and by recording actually our progress in a diary, maybe this will help us to see that we are progressing. Okay, maybe still we didn't reach our goal, but we are progressing. And knowing that we are progressing is very important. So progress is the key motivator. When you feel you are making progress, you are encouraged to continue. Everyone definitely seeks for motivation. And this motivation is when you feel that there is a change in your life. You are not always there in the same place for a long time doing the same routine work. That is boring. Of course, this will frustrate anyone. So always try to find a motivation. Try to always add something new to yourself, so that like you feel the progress in your career. Okay, and not always it will work. There are sometimes one step backward, one step forward, but you have to accept that life is always going into the same direction. So even when I went to ADNOC, it wasn't easy, because there it's full of specialists, and they are all very good at their work, and I have to be unique in such an environment. It's such a difficult objective, but I put it as an objective. So what I'm expert in, I'm expert in this fluid domain, right? In PVT. So I want to make all the changes that makes this domain very special in my company. So I started from scratch, fixing all the issues, all the processes that is associated with my domain. And slowly, I went into the digital transformation. So I started to standardize the processes in our company, to address challenges that we are facing. And then after that, I automated all this into a platform that everybody follows the same process all the time to reach the same goal. So I established a platform where all activities related to PVT are only done in that. It was just like I'm automating a standard operating procedure in the company. And then after that, I created tools that will help business to achieve their job easily and efficiently. So this is when I have develop this PVT Smart QC tool, which will guide the users regardless of their experience to validate the PVT data. And PVT data is related to properties of fluid, hydrocarbon fluid. So I developed this tool along with service provider. And then after that, I went into this big project, IISM, that I have presented. Of course, there are so many things I have done in between, but I'm talking about the most important stations in my development career in ADNOC. So I have won this ADIPIC award with my team. And you can see in this picture, and if you have seen the whole video about for ADIPIC this year, you will see that ADNOC was very special to display not only the project manager, which is myself, but we are the only company who has all the team surrounding me. So I asked actually the organizer for this event that it's not only me who have achieved the success, it's us, a whole team. So I want the whole team to be in the background, and then we make actually this arrangement in order for them to be there. And it was difficult because it was the pandemic and Corona and all this stuff. So it wasn't easy to gather those people in this place at that time, but we did it because I felt it's important not to celebrate by myself, because it's not only my achievement, it's the team achievement. So I wanted really and keenly to have them all sitting with me in the same picture structure. So we celebrate our success together. And these are one of the recipe that I will give in the next slide. So recipe for success, these are not something I'm inventing, but actually I feel it's very, very valid and very applicable in my case. Why did I really succeeded in my career? So first, the discipline. See, like, of course, like, we have always to ensure that we are doing the right thing at work. You know, you are hired to do certain work, so definitely we cannot be busy with something not related to work. This is, I think, basic and foundation, and everybody understands that. And when we come to integrity, we have to always commit to do the right thing, regardless somebody is watching us or no. We have to be actually watching ourselves. We shouldn't be monitored by someone in order to do the right thing. So this is when really we have this value, integrity. This is also one of the important keys in our success. Be positive. Sometimes you will face lots of bad days. Actually, today is one of my bad days. One of the objectives that I have planned, I couldn't achieve it today. So I understand that not all the days could be that pleasant. You know, I have to accept that sometimes I will not get to my objective. It's not because of me. No, you will face in your career so many people who are trying to stop you from succeeding, but you have to be persistent and just try to keep working hard and don't give up at all. Don't give up, and don't let anybody to let you down, because if you reach to this stage, you actually, this is the end of your career. So always be persistent, be a hard worker, regardless if you face these bad days. Don't give up. Be proactive. So that means sometimes, actually, in all my career, I don't remember my manager told me to do any of these things that I have done. I always make these initiatives so that to improve the work in my company, in my domain. So I'm known in my company actually to be always thinking out of the box. And this is one of the important things, you know, in order to be unique. So you are not only doing the thing that you are told to do, you always think out of the box to come up with something that maybe your manager haven't thought about. Team player, as I told you, like when I came to this Arabic event, although we were asked actually to come only the project manager, but I actually insisted to bring all the team together with me to celebrate this moment, because without them I couldn't have been successful at all. And if you want to succeed, always you raise people up with you. You cannot succeed alone. You have to acknowledge people. You have to also, even if I'm project manager, but I should give the same credit to all so that they give from their heart. If I miss this, I will never be able to succeed and to reach to this level. Plan, of course. I think everybody talked about planning and how important it is, because if you don't put a plan for yourself, you will be working for someone else's plan. So it's better to set your own plan. Network, as I told you, actually the first day when I came to the company, I made sure to have to build very meaningful and good relationship with all my colleagues, not only in my floor, but I tried also to have very good relationship with other assets and other floors, and to know everybody, to say hi, to say good morning, just spread this positive culture and well-being in the whole floor, so that, you know, people, when you need them, definitely they will remember that. They will remember you are a positive person, and they will treat you the same way that you have treated them. So ensure that you build this very good relationship. Don't try at all to make enemies. Try to avoid enemies at work. Sometimes, unfortunately, we are forced to have enemies, because if somebody is against work, definitely you have to oppose them, but try to avoid such such situation. Sometimes we can manage the conflict is useful when it is based on technical reasons, but when it is based on hidden agenda or something under the surface, definitely it's difficult to manage. So in this case only, maybe you will have some of these, but try to limit this very much. Mentoring, always seek for someone to guide you how to do your job better, because, you know, nobody knows everything. Definitely you have always limited knowledge in some areas, and seek always mentoring in these areas. embrace the change. See, change is certain to happen, and we have to always be able to adapt to the changes, because this is crucial to our success. Sometimes your manager change and your new manager is not that good. Sometimes they move you to another department which you are not used to, but we always able to adapt to these changes. And the key thing, learn always something new. When you learn new things in every day, actually, this is where you grow fast. If you just keep the learning that you know already, this is where you will reach to this plateau. That I don't advise you to be convinced that, this is where you should be. Always look up. And I think this is end. So as I told you, balanced life is the key. I didn't like much working in the service company because I felt that it is affecting so much my family life. I have a family. I have lots of love in my family. So I would like to spend good time with them. This is actually where I decided to move to operation company. But I think it was very, very good to spend this time at the service companies, because I learned a lot from this actually tough career, but it taught me a lot. And now I'm having this balanced life between my work and my family. I have 3 beautiful kids that I'm taking care of, and I'm very good, alhamdulillah, in taking care of my family, my husband, my extended family, and I'm keeping very good relationship, not too many friends, but very quality friends. So with this, I end with one thing, that if the final hour comes while you have a shoot of plant in your hands and it is possible to plant it before the hour comes, you make sure that you plant it. So هذا حديث للرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. Excuse me if I talk it in Arabic. So قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن قامت الساعة وفي يد أحدكم فسيلة فإن استطاع ألا تقوم حتى يغرسها فليغرسها. So make sure that you work and be productive to your last day. And with this, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And that's it, Mariana, the mic to you now.
Thank you so much, Arwa, for sharing your wonderful story. I think it's fantastic, and all that you've said about your team and your views. It's and by the way, I have to tell you, it's the second time that I watch your video, and I got as excited as the first time. Those seconds of silence before they actually announced the winner. Wow, I imagine how you guys felt. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing this wonderful presentation with us. So, and now we are back to me, and I would like to say a big thank you to our 4 speakers. It was, I think, a wonderful session. I'm still processing and absorbing all the inspiration from these 4 fantastic presentations. So thank you so much on behalf of SB Northern Emirates and the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And I've been checking the chat box, and several messages with thanking you for this moment, and appreciating all sharing all your learnings with all of us tonight. And just to go around with one quick question for each speaker, I have made some notes here. So let's see, for example, let's start with Ellen. Ellen, what tips? You are in a very special business for a woman, of course, as you have perfectly shown in your presentation. So what tips would you give to a young lady that wants to have a career in that business, in that field these days, and maybe even set up her own business?
I think one of the most important things is just to, once you decide that this is what you are going to do, to have a plan, and to genuinely don't try to do it all yourself. It is monumental, even to try and take on several tasks at once, and getting other people to help and ask for help. And let people help and do what they do best is really key to being successful. We all have our own skills and strengths, And we should never be expected to be able to do all of it, but recognizing that other people are great at things that we are not is, I think, really important. And it took me a long time to learn that. I tried to learn everything myself, and it's much easier when you can let go and let other people succeed as well. I think it is really important.
Sure, sure. Thank you for your answer. So then we have Rusul. What inspires you to do all this work that you are doing, in particular with SPE Basra, trying to help, let's say, your generation to succeed and get into the oil industry first and then succeed in their careers? What elements from your personal story maybe, encourage you to take this, do this amazing work?
Actually, when I was child, my dad all the time told me we have a message in our life and we have to share this message with people. We have to do something good in our life without benefit, without taking cost or something like that, and to fulfill the best impression of a human being. And also when you volunteer, the volunteering work, it will make you happy. And when you give without expecting anything, it's feel very comfortable emotion actually. And I read one day something, you have to die blank. It's mean you have to give all information you have to other people and die as a blank person. Nothing safe only for you. You have to give other people. And always when I joined any voluntary work, in the end, I'm so happy to give people.
Awesome, awesome. You're such an inspiration. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rusul, for your answer. And I have one for Lian. How was your involvement in the Basra Museum project? How this involvement enriched your understanding of the importance of cultural appreciation, and diversity in the oil and gas business?
Oh, thank you, Mariana. It's made me realize how important it is to involve archaeologists at the earliest possible stage. If you've got a project in a concession area where there's any possibility of cultural heritage sites, remnants being there, then consulting with archaeology specialists to do a sort of baseline study. I mean, that is part of your environmental and social impact assessment. But yeah, if that identifies that there could be some cultural heritage there, it's so important to engage with specialists and engage with the local community as well, and understand what these sites actually mean to them and their sense of identity, to make sure that they understand what you're doing and you can come to a plan together.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. And last but not least, I have also one for you, Arwa. I know it's been a long day for you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you were not feeling very well today. I know you mentioned like a general recipe for success in projects in general, but in particular, what were the key elements that made your award-winning project so successful? If you had to mention.
Yeah, of course. So I think all of them contributing to the success, but I would say that we cannot succeed alone. Like being team players is a very key in order, I have a knowledge in certain area, somebody has a knowledge in another area, and we can combine these knowledges together in order to achieve something great. And we have to be persistent. As I said, we have to expect that sometimes we will face really big challenges, and we have to be patient. We have to think how to overcome. I told you today, for example, wasn't one of my good days. Like I was very keen to achieve certain objective, which is for the business of the company, but for some reason I couldn't achieve that, little bit you will feel sometimes sad and disappointed because you have put lots of effort and you have worked out and you will not achieve. But this shouldn't actually let you down at all. So for example, today was bad, but tomorrow I'll just wake up with a smile and hoping that this day will be better.
Great. Yeah, I love positive attitude as well. I think it makes a big difference. Excellent. So I would like to just close out the session with this fun comment from Ahmed is saying, why Rasul you named your presentation A Ray of Hope, just a ray, because it's actually a great hope for the audience. So thank you for this comment, made me smile. So with this, I would like to thank everybody, of course, our fabulous speakers and all our lovely audience to be with us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this session. And yeah, and I hope to see you in the upcoming events, and do stay in touch with us or reach out if you would like to know more of what we are doing or participate. And thank you very, very much, everybody, on behalf of SP Northern Emirates and the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I wish everybody to have a nice evening. Thank you very much. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.